So I cried so much. I was like, why am I crying? I feel like it's like I'm crying like someone passed away.
So we're still having the conversation about future Cape Town, and welcome to today's episode. I am incredibly nervous in front of our guests today because firstly, I don't really know that much about sports, so I'm about to have an education. And secondly, we have somebody so incredible today who is a leader in her field. We're out at the Western Province Cricket Club, and I'm chatting to somebody that represents South Africa on a global scale. Quanita Bobbs plays for the SA Women's Hockey Team, and it's such an honor to have you with us today.
Thank you for having me, and hopefully I can teach you more about sport.
Yes, no, not hopefully, you absolutely will. I promise you. You're starting with somebody with a blank page, essentially, right?
Okay.
I was more of a cultural kid than a sports kid growing up. I did road running, so does that count?
No, 100%. Anything that's active, you're an athlete.
Yes, exactly. We're the same age. We're doing the same thing over here. No, I didn't really do competitive sports, but I think since have delved into, you know, the thinking behind it, the kind of athleticism it takes to do what you do, and I have so much respect for your career.
Thank you.
So tell me a bit about your childhood, because of course you weren't always where you are today, the lady in gold and green.
No.
So what was it like growing up in Strangfontaine, and was your family encouraging of sports?
My family is like the most supporting family in the world. I grew up in a very sporty family. My mom did netball at school, my dad was a hockey player, and my brother actually played professional soccer in South Africa. So he played in the PSL for big teams back in the day, and he also represented Bafana.
Amazing.
So I grew up in a super sporty family. I think if I wasn't like outside, I was inside watching sports on TV.
What kind of sports would you guys get around to watch?
Everything, like from tennis to athletics to the Olympics. I used to sit and like every 4 years I was like, the Olympics, it's the Olympic year, like let's watch some gymnastics, the swimming. And I think like sport is definitely a theme, like a big theme in my family. And if I wasn't inside, I was outside playing sport in the road in Strangfontaine with my neighbors. So sports was a big thing.
Big part.
Yeah.
That's incredible. It's such a cultural shift for me as well, because yes, there was like, you know, the Liverpool games that we would get together and watch, but it wasn't a constant theme in my household. So I'm also curious about, what was your introduction into sports? Was it just always something that was there for you? Were like, of course I'm going to go down this path.
Yeah. I think I always knew I was going to play a sport growing up. It was just about what sport do I choose. And I think I naturally chose hockey because my dad was a hockey player and he actually founded a hockey club called Central Hockey Club. And I used to go, I was like in 1993 when I was born.
Yes.
So like when I was old enough to go to the hockey field, I went with him to the field every weekend. Like every Saturday I was there, and then I left when the lights switched off. So naturally, I think just watching these amazing athletes, I think I watched like ex-SA players.
Wow.
So just watching them, and it was such a family-orientated hockey club. So for me, I think that's where my passion grew. I haven't even picked up a stick yet, but just from watching them play, I think hockey was for me.
Yeah.
So then I finally picked up a stick, and it felt so natural.
Okay.
I can't explain to you.
I wouldn't be able to understand.
When something just feels very natural, and I think.
And especially because it's an extension of you, right?
Yeah.
So for you to pick it up and just feel like this fits.
No, it felt right.
It felt good.
Yeah.
So then high school or primary school came, you know, they offer hockey as a sport as well. You immediately gravitated towards that and found that you could actually potentially make a career out of this?
Yes. I think once I picked up a stick and I started playing, I played for my primary school and then I played club hockey. And I think when I picked up a stick, I knew I want to excel at the sport. Like at a young age, I was super motivated already to make first teams.
Wow.
I knew that one day, I'm going to represent my country. I definitely thought under 16, I was like, yes, that's my sport and I want to excel at it. And I think my family was really supportive, and my dad drove me to all the practices.
Of course he did. He's like, that's my girl.
And he drove me to all the clinics to improve my skills. And I think I wish I played more sports. Like the kids nowadays, the kids play hockey nowadays, swimming, rugby. But I think once I picked up a stick, I had such tunnel vision.
Yes.
And
So
I was
actually,
like,
let's talk about that a bit, and maybe you can help me understand, because I would think that if you have tunnel vision, it's best.
Yeah.
Because like you now, you're
Yeah.
on the way to the Olympics,
Yeah.
right? And if you spread yourself, are you spreading yourself thin? If you play many different sports?
probably. It depends, like, if you play 2 sports that fall in the same season. So maybe like, I don't know if soccer's a winter sport. I'm not sure in school, and hockey's a winter sport. So if you play in the same season, then I don't think it'll work, because you can't equally, like, unless, because you have
Dedicate time.
academics as well.
Yes.
But I think I would definitely encourage like kids to play more than one sport. You know, just do like you have to see where your passion lies.
Yeah.
And I think play more than one sport and make time for it. It's very good for the mind and the body as well.
Yeah. So you were saying that you dedicate a lot of effort and energy into hockey because that was your passion and your
Yeah.
love. Do you want to tell me a little bit more about what it actually takes to become a professional athlete?
Yeah.
Because it's not just you showing up at school during break time or after school to
Yeah.
play a game or two.
Yeah.
You have to put in, I'm sure, a lot more
Yes.
energy, effort, time, money perhaps.
Yes, it's definitely. I don't like to call it sacrifice. I actually like to call it contribution.
Okay, I like
Because
that
like you're
perspective.
contributing to your life, and I think besides all the cliche things like hard work and discipline, I think the most important thing for me is resilience. Like definitely overcoming obstacles and facing adversity.
Yeah.
Because in like sport in South Africa is very different to a first world country. I think you'll come across a lot of challenges and obstacles throughout your journey.
Yeah, like what? What would be the difference between
think-
SA and other places?
Well, it depends what sport you choose, but
Okay.
hockey's an amateur sport.
Okay.
So first of all, financial difficulties. You definitely, like, how can I say, it's not really backed by the government. So, like
So in
that
terms
sort
of getting
of
your
things.
stick and your equipment
Exactly.
and
So,
getting to sport practice.
yes, getting to sport practice. And I think, like politics, there's always politics in sport. So I think in South Africa, definitely you need a bit of resilience and to get you to like where you want and never give up on your goals. Like I used to like every year write my goals down on paper.
Yeah.
And I used to like hopefully tick them off at the end of the year. And I think just stick to your goals, resilience, commitment. Like commitment's a big thing. You have to be committed to your goals and your sport. And like you have to wake up every day and you have to train.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like there's gonna be bad days and there's gonna be good days.
100%.
But so long as you're committed and you're resilient, I think that'll go a long way.
So talk to me about how you are resilient and do commit to something, because I think it's one thing to say it, one thing to write down goals, but when it comes to actioning those dreams, when it comes to actually having to wake up at 5 a.m. or
Yes.
putting in extra hours when everyone has left the field, lights are out and you're still hitting balls,
Yeah.
you know, practicing your form, what motivates you to keep going?
I think first of all, it's my passion. Like sports, my passion, hockey's my passion.
Yeah.
So I think the love for the game is very much what drives me to
Yeah.
wake up every day. But the fact that I get to represent my country is like a next level motivation to train. And I think because you play in a team sport, you don't want to be that person in the team that's
Yeah, that lets everyone
yeah,
down.
that lets everyone down. Like you want to be at like
I'm
your
a banner of the team.
Exactly. You definitely want to be like just not only for yourself but for your teammate.
Yeah.
And I think that's like the beauty of being in a team sport, because you know people are going to rely on you, so you have to pull your weight.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think not only from like personal intrinsic motivation, but you get that external, but I wouldn't say pressure, but also motivation to wake up and train every day. And not only like I love like living an active lifestyle. So for me, waking up and training is not difficult for me. I enjoy it.
Yeah.
So I think you have to find what you enjoy and you have to do what you love and find your motivation and your reasoning for doing what you're doing.
What you do. And then in terms of the mental strength, we spoke a bit about this before. I feel as if mentally, and I'm not even putting myself down when saying this, you're probably a lot stronger than I am, you know?
Yeah, maybe.
I'm sure you are, because I feel like it does take a lot of endurance,
Yeah.
mental endurance, to be able to continue.
Yeah.
Whereas I haven't committed to a sport, so I don't know what that looks like necessarily. Getting yourself out of
Yeah.
bed, being disciplined in that regard. So does it help you mentally? Does it help you kind of face life in different ways?
100%. Like, I've been in the national team for 9 years. I made my debut in 2012. But before that, I was like in the youth teams. And I think like I really went through some tough times at the beginning of my career because I came into this team as a youngster and you have a lot to prove. I mean, there's the senior players. So self-doubt creeps in. You struggle with confidence. So I think mentally that's where I grew a lot. And I think what helped me was positive self-talk and practice. Like, there's nothing better than if you make a mistake, the next day you go out and you practice and you try to rectify it. And I think if you find those things that help you along the way, so for me, very much practice and positive self-talk helps me with my mental game.
And helps you be a better player.
And I read a lot. Like, I read a lot of motivational books and anything that will help me be a better person, just like a better human being. So I think like sport is half mental and half like ability. So just in life in general, actually, like looking after your mental health is really important. And I think you have to find things that help you along the way. And for me, it was positive self-talk and what is the other thing I said?
It's the books you read, positive self-talk and practice.
Right? Just making sure I practice.
I'm taking notes here. You don't have to worry about that. No, I agree with you. I think it's really important to flex it like a muscle, like you would with your calves and your quads and your biceps and everything else. Your brain is a muscle that you need to constantly encourage in the right direction and the right way to help you be a better athlete. So for people who are trying to become an athlete, because you're kind of on the other side, not that you've made it and you've arrived, but girl, you are doing so incredibly well. So how exactly do you become an athlete? Are there certain clubs you should join? Is there a certain path that you are supposed to take?
100%. I think to become an athlete, first of all, you have to start. And I think as a young kid, like if your school has sport, participate in sport. You never know, like your school can, like, how can I say, put you forward for, if you're really good, you can put you forward for trials, or because schools have a lot of connections. And I think that's where you have to start. I mean, like, even if you haven't picked up a stick or kicked a ball before, you never know.
Is there an age that's just, that's too late for you, or?
No, like I know a few girls in my team only start hockey in high school.
Wow.
And they're now in the national team. So everyone has a different journey. Like I started very young. But I think just start and you never know, like, join a club. I think there's lots of hockey clubs. I don't know what sport people are interested in, but there's lots of clubs around, and and just Google, talk to people and just start. And I think you never know what doors will open. For me, I never knew, like, the moment I picked up a hockey stick in grade 3 that these opportunities will happen for me. So
okay, no, I actually am curious about the path, because picked it up in grade 3, continued, played, joined a club, and now you are representing South Africa playing hockey. So what happened? How did you get there?
So I played hockey in grade 3 for my primary school, and it was really fun. And then as I got older, I realized, okay, I'm going to go to a very good hockey school in high school. And I think that's what really helped me. I decided, okay, I'm going to go to Wamba Girls, because they were very good at hockey that time. So then I went there, and I think that's what opened a lot of doors for me. The school sent me to Western Province trials, and from Western Province trials you go to the tournaments, and then there's SA selectors there. So, and then I played at the tournaments, and luckily I got selected for SA schools. And from there I got selected every year, under 16, under 18, under 21. And then under 21 year, the national coach started to look at youngsters to, how can I say, to feed the national team, So, and then luckily he saw me and he was like,
stop saying luckily, because it is definitely not luck.
So he chose me and a few other players at my age to come into the national team. And I think that's my journey. That's where it started. It's like just people looking and seeing your potential.
Exactly. The reason why I say it's not luck, because it wasn't just coincidence that this happened, right? It's right place, right time. Also, you were prepared when you were there.
100%.
It's not as if they said, Quanita Bobbs, and you were like, oh, I don't know how to hold this stick. No, you'd been training until this point and ready to take on the next task.
For sure.
So let's talk about the Olympics.
Yes.
Because, wow, Quanita, congratulations for
Thank you.
being selected to represent South Africa.
Thank you.
How were you feeling? What was that like? I honestly feel like a proud mother. I'm just like, wow, the shining star.
Yeah, it was a massive relief. The reason why I say that, because before I even made the senior team, I always knew like Olympics is where I needed to go. And being in the national team for I didn't know that it'll take me 9 years. 9 years to make the Olympic team. They didn't send us in Rio. So I think that's what, like, it was a real blow for all the hockey players when they didn't send us. So it was like another 4 years that you had to wait. And then last year they postponed the Tokyo because of COVID. And I think it was another year of like, okay, is like the Olympic dream ever gonna happen? But I think, like, I just took it day by day. And I think that's what I really try to focus on, is taking it day by day, do my training, and things hopefully will happen for you. So yeah, it's been a long journey, and I think just have patience, and you will achieve your goals.
I mean, 9 years is a long time to wait for a big dream.
No, it is a long but I'm young and I'm still young.
You are.
So
who was the first person you called or told or got excited with, clinked glasses with?
So I cried so much. I was like, why am I crying? I feel like it's like I'm crying like someone passed away.
like chunking, properly.
Like chunking. But I decided not to phone my dad because I wouldn't be able to speak on the phone. So I texted them, I WhatsApped them, I was like, I made the Olympic team. And I was like, just WhatsApp text. No phone, because I won't be able to speak on the phone. So I told...
Because of the overwhelm of emotion.
No, like, especially with my father, like, I get so emotional talking about him because he's been there from the start. Like, he's been like the most supportive dad ever. So I just texted them. And then I went for dinner just to celebrate with my mom and dad. So my parents is definitely the first. And my partner obviously, but family first.
Of course, always. I'm sure your parents are incredibly excited. I think the sucky thing is that they can't go with you, right? Because of the COVID restrictions. So we'll just have to be watching you from our couches, cheering you on.
My mom loves her couch.
Oh, she does?
She loves her couch, so she'll just be watching sport all day.
That's incredible. What sort of preparation do you get into leading up to something like the Olympics?
So, with hockey, it's super difficult because of funding, but luckily we found a pool of money, and what we have been doing is actually been training in Johannesburg every second weekend.
Wow.
For the past 4 months.
Can I ask why that's the decision? Why Joburg?
Because a lot of the professional teams have a centralized program. So, for example, Holland would train every single week together, whereas us, we only see each other maybe like once a month. So we decided to do this every second weekend thing to get as much time together on the field. So hopefully it'll be enough. Unfortunately, we're not playing any practice matches against international teams, but as long as we get to have stick and ball time together, then it's good.
Okay, so talk about challenges with me, because again, we've established you're mentally tough, you're resilient, you have tenacity. But what sort of challenges does one face as a South African athlete?
I think definitely the funding. I suppose the money issue in hockey is pretty much like the big elephant in the room, because we're an amateur sport. So we're not like the soccer or the cricket that get a lot of funding that allows people to travel and allows them to build their world ranking. So for us, I mean, it's sad because in South Africa, you only really get backed when you start performing well. You know what I mean? And look at the netball girls. They only recently started getting backing because they put in the results.
They proved themselves.
And I think that's the most unfortunate thing in South Africa, because you have to prove yourself to get backed and to get funding and support. And it's such a tough thing, because with hockey you need to play together all the time to improve your ranking points and to go to tournaments. So I think that's pretty much the biggest challenge, I would say, for sure.
And being a woman in sports, I feel like that must be quite a hurdle to get over.
Yes, for sure. In the hockey space, I feel like the men and women's team, it's quite an equal platform because
That's good to hear.
Yeah, I think because we're an amateur sport in South Africa, there's really no like discrepancies in terms of the men get more funding than the women. I think with both teams individually and as a team, we're both trying to work as super hard to get noticed. And I think in that regard, I think we're quite equal. But as you like become more professional, I think there's a definite like, how can I say, discrepancy in terms of funding.
Yes.
And I mean, look at the cricket, the Proteas national team. They're finally getting exposure because they're performing. And I think they actually get paid equally as the men. I'm not sure. But
that's a big claim to make.
But it's at least they're getting like, so it's a step in the right direction, especially with the netball and the cricket. But I definitely think there's, I mean, a big gap at the moment. I mean, the soccer, the Bafana versus Banyana.
Yeah, that's a big example, right?
Like, do they broadcast Banyana's game?
No. Can you name Banyana players?
Yes, I mean, so I think in the media, can definitely help in that regard in terms of exposure and just live streaming games and just going into communities and telling these stories about women and girls.
So we need to do better, essentially.
No, but we definitely like heading in the good direction with the netball and the cricketers, for sure.
Okay, Quanita, let's talk a bit about financing. So, becoming an athlete professionally, you would hope comes with a good paycheck.
Yes.
But I'm curious as to whether it's A plus B equals C. I play for SA Women's Hockey, therefore I get a paycheck every month. Or how exactly do you get your income as an athlete in this country?
100%. Like, I think sport teaches you a lot of lessons, like discipline and teamwork. So I actually think that every company should employ athletes.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, they're hardworking and they really want to excel in everything they do. So for me, like, it's difficult when you don't play a professional sport because you can't really earn an income from playing your sport every month. So for me, I really, before I even started hockey at school, I was like, okay, I need to think about what am I going to do next to hockey.
Yeah.
And I think that's when I decided, okay, I'm going to study after school and go to university, get a degree, and play sport and work as well.
And you did your degree in
BCom Management Sciences. Yes. So I definitely encourage people to think, I wouldn't say life after sport, but think about what's your path that goes along with your sport. And whether it's like coaching or being a lawyer or a marketer, I think it's very important to think about that. So for me, I studied BCom Management Sciences and I always knew that sport is my passion. So if I can like tie my degree with sport,
you're unstoppable.
That'll be a blessing. So that's one of my goals actually, to see where I can my passion for sport and how can I use my knowledge of marketing.
Because also the lifespan of an athlete is not until you're 70, right?
No.
What is it?
Well, if you're superhuman. No, I would say, like, it depends how your body feels. I mean, if you still feel like you can go, I would say go. Like, you should, like, if you have a passion for something, you should never stop. But for me...
By playing professionally?
I think for a hockey player, I think you'd probably cap it at, I would say 37.
Yeah.
I'm going there.
Which is still young, right?
Yeah.
So you're right. You do need to have something else that you would hopefully potentially do afterwards.
Yeah.
Or even alongside, so that you're not left with nothing.
You have to plan for you have to plan for life. Like anything can happen. You can get injured.
That's also true.
But I would always say have a backup plan and have a career path other than your sport.
That's beautiful. So let's talk about the youth and encouraging them as well.
Yes.
What would you say to somebody that is an aspiring athlete in this country? Because like you said, there are so many obstacles and we could use them as excuses to not pursue our passion and our dream and what exactly we want to do. How would you encourage them and what advice would you give?
Well, first of all, I think growth. Like, if you could talk about the word growth, I think that's very important. In my career, I think the only reason why I'm selected in Team South Africa is because of my growth. Like, I never wanted to be stagnant or not grow as a person and as a hockey player. So I think continuously try and to see how you can be a better person and an athlete. So whether it's like doing more sessions or talking to someone or actually just watching your sport on TV to learn what other people are doing. I think growth is an essential part in achieving like your goals. So I don't know, if you're gonna map it out, how I can get to point A to B, then maybe do that. But I think always try and grow as an athlete. Never,
as an athlete,
don't be complacent, always try grow. And I think that's one advice I could give. And just always be goal orientated. Write your goals down. That's what helped me. I wrote my goals down. I tried how could I get to my goals, and I try to do that.
And then you actioned.
And you actioned. So, and have fun in the process.
Yes.
Enjoy life.
Yeah. That's beautiful. So there is time for fun, because that's 100%. A big question that
you have to love what you do. I mean, if you don't, then
there's no point.
No,
right?
There's no point.
Quanita, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate you taking out a moment to teach me about sport and also to just, encourage the youth of Cape Town, because it is about future Cape Town, which you are.
That's awesome.
I think I've learned a thing or two. Yes. I don't know if hockey is my sport necessarily. I got a story about being goalie for the reserve team and the reserve C team.
At least you tried something.
I scored an own goal because I was standing behind the line. But we leave it up to people like you. So when you go off to Tokyo, and all the best with that.
Thank you.
Please bring back gold.
I will.
You will?
I'll try my best. We have a very tough pool, but
I will hold you to it.
Yeah, we have high expectations for ourselves. So.
I think that's the best way. Deal?
Deal. Thank you.
We're getting gold. You heard it first. Quanita Bobbs, thank you so much, and thank you for watching. This was Future Cape Town.
This is Good Hope FM. This is Good Hope FM. We play the best music.